Hey YouTube, what's going on? Just thought I'd make a little video of my bike here, my Supermoto. If you guys want to see it running, I'm going to make a separate video of it running and I'll show you how to do a cold start and stuff like that. So check out my channel for that. This is just going to be like a walk around video of stuff that I've done and upgraded to it so far. So this is my 2006 KTM 450 SMR Supermoto. There was a little bit of confusion as to whether this is actually a true SMR or not. The VIN number didn't really match up with what the SMRs are supposed to be, but it's got the factory KTM Supermoto wheels and like the front brake and stuff. I'm going to call it an SMR regardless. You can see obviously it's got the 450 SMR graphics. Whether it is or isn't, there's not a huge difference between like this and the EXC. There is a few differences, but it's not like anything major. The motor is pretty much the same. So I'm going to call it an SMR. So I guess I'll start out with the stuff I did. I'll start with the motor here. When I first brought it home, it was leaking coolant out the weep hole right here. Pretty bad, and so I was just going to replace the water pump seals and the associated components with the water pump, impeller and all that. Then I got it apart, and if you take a look at this is the old camshaft that I took out of it. You can see this is where the water pump seals ride. Look at how, you can see how grooved it is. Hopefully the camera will pick that up. And that's actually just kind of nasty. I think they had water in here for most of its life instead of coolant. And that just kind of trashed it, and it was leaking bad. And I read that if you just replace the seals, without replacing the actual camshaft here itself, it's just going to leak coolant just as bad as when you took it apart. So I just went ahead and replaced the whole camshaft. I put the factory KTM 450 SMR cam back in it. So there aren't really any other companies that make cams for this, and the 450 SMR cam, the factory cam, is like the hottest you can get for the bikes with the RFS motor or the racing 4-stroke. So that's got the hottest cam in it. New cam bearings along with that as well, obviously. If we look here to this little notch in the cam lobe here, there's a automatic decompression lever in there, and basically what that does is just kick the exhaust valve open a little bit when it's not running. So like when you're trying to start it, that helps you start it easier. So there's a spring in there that springs that lever back depending on whether it's running or not. So I replaced that spring on the new cam as well, just to make sure it wasn't worn out. So like I said, yeah, so new cam bearings, water pump seals, and all the various components in there. There are plenty of videos on YouTube to show you how to do that. That's really simple, actually. That's if you're just changing the water pump. The cam install is a little more intensive. You got to take the valve covers off, the rocker cover, whatever you want to call it. You have to actually break the cam chain on these bikes in order to get the cam out. So you have to break it and then re-rivet it with a new master link. And that was actually not that bad either. I bought the Motion Pro chain riveting tool. It's like $80, but it's well worth it. Worked great. So, and then also, if you guys are having any problems with these KTM RFS motors, especially like the 450 and the 525 or 530 or whatever they are, you have to make sure your valves are adjusted properly on these bikes. The manual, I believe it calls for between 4 and 5 thousandths clearance. I did 5 thousandths, and it runs great now. When I first picked it up, I couldn't get it started for crap, so valves are adjusted properly now. It runs great, so make sure you guys adjust the valves on these bikes properly. It's actually really easy on these bikes. Excuse me. You don't have to deal with any the little shims or anything like that. It's super easy to adjust valves on here, so if you guys have any questions, just look up the videos on YouTube. There's plenty of them. Let's see, I replaced the countershaft seal back here behind the transmission, or behind the gear here, sprocket. It was leaking oil. That was also really easy to change, so I changed the seal and the O-ring and the carrier and stuff like that right there. So that's all tight now. New sprockets and chain. Tires, I just got these put on too. Michelin Pilot Power 2CT tires. I took Jake the Garden Snake's advice and ran these. I'm really liking them so far. They're great tires. This is a 150 size tire. It's gonna, yeah, 150. Hopefully you can see it right there. It's a 150 wide tire. That's since this is the factory KTM wheel, it's a 5-inch wide wheel, and it's close to rubbing on the chain, but it doesn't rub. So as long as you keep the chain adjusted properly, you'll be okay. So yeah, that's a 150 tire, and then the front is a 120, wherever it is on there. Yeah, right there. You should be able to see that. That's a 120 in the front. Like I said, very happy with those so far. I believe this to be the factory KTM Supermoto, like the big brake kit. Oh yeah, I also had to replace both of the inner front fork tubes were scratched pretty badly just from wear and tear. The bushing up in here that rides on them eventually, if you don't maintain them enough, the bushing will wear grooves in it, and it was leaking oil really badly, so I had to replace both of the inner front fork tubes as well as the seals and bushings. I did have a shop do that when I got the tires put on. I was just going to have them do the seals at first, but then they found out that the tubes were bad. So if you guys are in the Waukesha, Wisconsin area, I had it done by Redline Power Sports. Great guys over there. Talk to Russ. He'll hook you up. Yeah, I had the shop do that. The tires, the fork seals, and then just because I didn't want to mess with doing tires. But then I did all the motor work and stuff, so that was no big deal, actually. It is street legal, obviously. My plate is under the towel there. It's got the Tusk Enduro lighting kit. It's actually a pretty decent kit. That stuff was already on there when I bought it. It was already street legal when I bought it. So the headlight is actually a KTM headlight. I found that out. I went to check the bulb. The headlight is terrible at night. Like, it is not bright enough at all. So I'm gonna have to change that. But it works. And then you can kind of see, like, there's a whole mess of wires and stuff. I gotta clean that up this winter. That's gonna be my project. The guy who had it before me, he had the headlight and the tail light on two different switches, which, whatever, but I'm going to change that, move everything to one switch. Tail light is actually pretty bright, that's LED. And then the blinkers here too. You can see those are LED too, those are actually pretty bright. But yeah, so that's the headlight and stuff. It's got a bigger stator in it. I believe it's a Trailtech stator. Since we're up here on the handlebars, we've got the GPR4 steering stabilizer, the Trailtech Endurance 2 computer. It's okay. It's really easy to read. It's got a great display, and it's accurate, but it doesn't have anything like I believe it's the Vapor that has all the stuff like the tach and temperature and stuff like that. I'm probably going to upgrade to that because I'd like to have a temperature gauge and stuff. But this isn't a bad computer. It works pretty good. It's, like I said, it's nice and easy to see, so that's always good. I'll move, let's see, down to the exhaust. Factory header, but then I changed out for a FMF PowerCore 4 silencer. Love FMF products and definitely wanted to run this. The only issue with this one, though, is if you come down here, you can see I had to actually have my dad machine me these little pieces of aluminum right here. You can see one on each, the front and the back mount. The exhaust did not mount up to the factory, the hangers up there at all. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, where it is right now, you can see this is where the exhaust bolt would be. You see, there's a pretty big gap right there, both on the front and the back. I don't know what the deal is. It's the correct part number pipe. I didn't want to deal with trying to return this with shipping and all that. And this is the pipe I wanted to run. So I just had my dad machine me those little pieces. And actually, you can't even, honestly, if you're not paying attention, you'd never know that that wasn't supposed to be like that. I mean, from here, you can't tell at all. So I'm not really concerned with it. Like I said, it turned out great. So no big deal there. I was just kind of confused as to why that didn't match up. I have no idea what happened with that, but like I said, it's the correct part number, so whatever, it is what it is. It sounds great, and like I said, you can't even tell. So factory KTM SMR wheels, if I didn't say that already. I'm running the AMSOIL 1050 full synthetic oil. I only run AMSOIL on my stuff. It's a great product. I'm from Wisconsin, and that's a Wisconsin-based company, so I always like to support my local businesses if I can. Engine ice and the coolant. Yeah, I think that's about it. I guess Racetech suspension. They've got a Racetech springs on the shock and the forks, I believe. I just put the clickers back to factory settings for now. It works pretty good for my weight anyway. So I'm just gonna leave that be for now. Had to put a new battery in it because the battery was dead. I guess, yeah, you got your frame slider, or your frame sliders. You got some on the wheels, front and the back. Frame sliders under the foot pegs here, and you can see on the handguard. Whoever had it before me, they did lay it down at some point, but whatever, it's not a big deal. It's a dirt bike. Nothing else was damaged. I can always replace these. Not a big deal. But yeah, like I said, I couldn't really find many videos of these bikes, especially like US based videos anyway, so I figured I'd throw this up there. If you guys have any questions about these, let me know. These bikes with the RFS, the racing 4-stroke motor, I can help you out as best I can since I've worked on them now. But yeah, I really like it so far. It's fast. It's a blast to ride, man. Yeah, I think that's it. So feel free to comment if you guys have any questions, like I said, and thanks for checking out my bike.